Attention horror fans, attention Evil Dead fans. This is Tom Sullivan, creator of special effects in the Book of the Dead and Kandarian Dagger for the Evil Dead films, and I'm a listener of the Timo and Harley Show. And I know you are too, and tell your friends. It's the best thing on.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there's my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Horse Malarkey Harley.
That's me. It's better than horse face, I guess.
I guess. Why the long face?
Born that way.
Yes. Yes, we are just back in the space-time continuum. I'm going to keep talking about this because we do have a new person every week who tries a show and bows out.
Yeah.
I think that's about what we got going on. The stats don't lie. So we record the show a week early.
Yes,
a week
sir.
before you hear it, and then I edit it up so that I can take out all the goofiness. No, let me take that back. So that I can edit out at least part of the goofiness so it's tolerable.
There you go. That sounds a little better.
For people to listen to. So in the space-time continuum, as we are sitting here actually recording this, we just got back from Vet City Con.
Vet City Con.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes. So had a pretty decent time. Kind of a down year.
Yes.
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
It happens. There's a new show. I know that they had a little switcheroo here with some of the ownership and roles that were being taken in the show. But look, that's not the thing. I can tell you is this: it was still relaxing. There was no hassles. We were treated very well, regardless of if it was. I mean, look, when you have a down year to show, the promoters probably aren't in the best mood.
No,
they're probably a little nervous. It takes a lot of money to put these things on or whatever,
yes,
and yet
sir.
they still they were still very nice, very pleasant. You wouldn't know from anybody,
right.
So that was good. The guests seemed pretty nice. Now here's the thing I had. The guests, there was a kind of a Rob Zombie thing going on there.
There was a little zombie-ish flair.
Right.
Or flavor going on, yeah.
Apparently, I'm more loyal to a nice, relaxing show than I am against Rob. Well, look, Rob wasn't there. I'm not against the actors to take the gig. I mean, it's like I've played places I don't want to play.
Sure.
Or whatever, just to do it, So, but
I played places that they didn't want me.
Pretty much everywhere I've ever played, they didn't want me. So,
there you go.
Right. But no, it was a good time. Glad we got to see some of our friends, like Dead Dick Hammer.
Yeah,
boy,
Richard the Hammer.
Yeah, his woodworking stuff is just going off the rails. I don't know. I brought home half a lumber yard.
Yeah, you did. You had to get one of them 84 lumber trucks to follow you home.
Holy cats. Yeah, I was like, gee whiz.
Poor Angie had to drive the truck home.
She did. You know what was funny? She drove there and back. So
yeah.
I don't know if she's doing it to be nice to me or she's just afraid to put her life in my hands behind the wheel.
That's true, too.
For a long drive, Mr. Ben Harley. I'm not known to stay sober very long, Mr. Ben Harley. Not very long.
Yeah, that's true. Not for long periods of time.
No. So, got to see him, the Wrecking Crew. We mostly Shannon Van Meter, but
yes.
What was it? James
Van Meter?
Yeah. He made a zip appearance. One night.
In and out. Yeah.
And then
Brandon was there. He showed up.
Yeah, Brandon. I saw him for a couple minutes, and then he really ducked out. I think they got a little cooked watching the basketball game.
Maybe, probably.
Yeah. So, as you would imagine, just even by looking at those guys, they are big college basketball fans.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
All dressing up like
I'm still
Eminem.
befuddled. I'm still befuddled by the whole thing, but that's me. Yeah.
There might be a lot of people befuddled that I like football a lot too.
That's true.
I'm not. It's not really my personality type. I don't think.
No,
to really enjoy
no.
that either. But either way, we had a good time. We got to see our good friend Bob Slender, Jimmy the Lips.
Jimmy the Lips.
Yes, we got to see him, and
we had a good time.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. Met Mr. Scott Tiemann. That was Shannon Van Meter was helping him out, so I got to eat with him a little bit.
Yeah,
and then there was Jay Fife, I believe his last name was. The artist,
artiste,
yes, who he actually sketched us a couple cool little pictures.
He did. We got a picture of James Arness is the thing.
I got that. It's going to be framed. I'm going to frame that.
Yeah,
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I got me a Ghidra, the three-headed monster.
Oh yeah,
Monster Zero.
I tell you one thing,
as I like to refer to him as.
Exactly.
We're friends.
Right. I can tell you one thing. It's the first loose leaf paper, notebook pad paper I'm going to frame in my life. So
yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I think Mr. Ben Harley, I would say that Angio's highlight of the weekend was certainly seeing Dead Dick Hammer's Hellspawn. Seeing the little, I'm being a little silly there, but
the
seeing
little hammer.
The little hammer. The little hammer.
Yeah.
Yes. Dick and Dead Doreen had a baby.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And man, he's a good kid. Boy.
Oh, hell yeah, he is.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know one day he showed up, he looked like Mickey from Rocky. That's because of his hat. Much more handsome.
Right.
But yeah, no, he was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It was good to see him, and I'm so happy for those two.
Right.
And yeah, what a good time that was.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, he was better behaved than you were. I mean,
he sure was.
Oh, and you were on good behavior too.
Yeah, it was.
But he set the bar. That dude set the bar. He set the bar, So
he sure did. Yeah.
What's his name? Ellis? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Ellis set the bar. There you go. Ellis set the bar. So handsome little tyke too. That was my problem. It's hard to battle youth, Mr. Ben Harley. Hard to battle youth. We couldn't get a woman to look at us. Not even my wife was looking at me. Well,
no,
that's pretty easy not to have that. She might get a little tired of me,
She's easily distracted from you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so handsome, squirrel.
Oh, squirrel.
So, but it was good to see him and get to. I did tell him. I taught him a valuable life lesson, Mr. Ben Harley. A valuable life lesson. As he was grasping my hand, I told him. I said, "No. You do not put my finger in your mouth. Do not put. That's my right hand. You don't know where it's been. Forget it. Don't
forget it. Yeah.
So, and then they gave him his little.
Learned a valuable lesson in life. Right.
Yep. And then they gave him his little rubber plastic rings, and I tried to steal it from him, but kid's too quick for me.
Yeah, he's
right on my hands. So, but it was good to see him, and congratulations to Mike and Casey for.
For sure.
That's a beautiful child, and and they waited for a while too.
They did.
They're not quite as ancient as we are, but they're not. They're
they're not spring chickens either. Right?
That's right. So, but good times.
Geez, Dead Dick Hammer is about 100 and was he 10 years old? I think or something.
This time around, he is.
Yeah, they waited a good long time.
Yeah, but again, we did have a good time. It was good seeing.
Yeah,
it was good seeing. It's
great seeing everybody.
Yeah, everybody. So anyway, good time. Good time. Thank you, Vet City. Next up, Mr. Ben Harley, we have Retro Invasion Weekend up in Cleveland. We'll start talking about that. Like I mentioned already, the Fragile Porcelain My Show is over in the real world, but as we record this, it is not. Mr. Ben Harley, this weekend, as you were listening to this, this weekend, would it be February 10th? February 10th we're talking about? You, my friend, you've got business to take care of in Powerbomb Wrestling. Am I correct about that this weekend?
Belts to defend, yes.
Okay, that's St. Clement's Hall?
Yep. Yes,
All right. Give me some details
bell time at 5 o'clock. Bell time, 5 o'clock. We're taking on them two nerds, history in the making, who still are sour grapes.
So history in the beating taking?
History, history in what will be made history. Yes, them two guys. Timo, it should be an interesting card.
Okay.
We still got some issues with old Norman Waymer.
Oh boy,
we don't so much anymore. So he's taking his focus off us, which is fine. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
It matters not, Timo.
Right.
Because as someone said, the bell tolls for some, right, Timo?
Right.
But on Sunday, it will toll for the History in the Making. So,
Right.
yes, sir, Timo. It's going to be fun. Good times. Looking forward to it.
So Norm Waymer still being a little cantankerous, people. What happened?
Yeah,
did somebody steal his McDonald's gift certificates out from under his work boots?
Someone stole his dipping sauces, 20-piece McNuggets. I don't know. But yeah, he's a little salty right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, if he's not worrying about you guys, I guess that's all right.
We're the
then.
champs. Yes, we're the champs, and we shall eat.
There's some Machiavellian shit
defend.
going on in Powerbomb Wrestling. I can tell you that right now. So
that's right. That's right.
So is that Sunday then? This time
Yes.
around? Okay, so you're back to Sunday.
Back to
Sunday. It is February 10th. Is that correct? Was I correct on that?
Sunday
okay.
the 10th. Yeah.
All right, St. Clement's Hall.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking about us.
Absolutely. Bell time at 5:00. So get out there this weekend as you hear this.
5 o'clock bell time.
That's right. As you hear this weekend. Yeah. So let me go through. Believe it or not, Mr. Ben Harley, I didn't think I was going to have anything to write down, but I did watch a few things here.
All right, well, you want to lay it on me?
Yeah, let me run through them here. Let's see. First up, Angio, before we came to Vet City Con, the night before from 1981. Wow.
Whoa.
1981. Yep. Best film, our best year in film history as far as I'm concerned. We watched The Boogans.
Ooh, The Boogans. Okay.
Yeah, The Boogans. So starring the Henry Fonda guy, the Aldo Nova guy, and goofy little Gamera monsters.
That's right. Yeah.
Loved it.
The Boogans. Yeah.
I got to pull this movie.
Aldo Nova. I forgot.
There is an Aldo Nova guy. You know what's funny is that I was telling Angie, I was like, look, it's Aldo Nova. She just looked at me. I'm like, you don't know who Aldo Nova is? She's like, no, I never heard of Aldo Nova. So we get in the car to go to Vet City, kind of hit my iPod or the iPhone. It says, shuffle or whatever. First song comes on, is Monkey in Your Back, Aldo Nova.
Oh, boy. He said he wore a jumpsuit like no other.
Oh, let me tell you.
Tight.
And out of sight.
Not zebra, but it was a tiger stripe, wasn't it?
I don't remember that. I just remember Aldo Nova. I just remember the man himself.
I remember the video, and for the one he shows up in the helicopter and he blasts the door open with his with his guitar.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Life is just a fantasy.
So we watched that. That was fun. That was good. Yeah. It's again. Thank God they don't show the monsters to the end of that piece. I'm telling you that much right now because it's a neat little, fun little movie, and then they show the monsters like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. So anyway,
that's sad when that happens.
I know. Let's see here from 1992. Now this was a DVD Bob special. This was one I grabbed off of his table at Vet City Con. Threw it in. Something I had seen around 92. When it came out, this was, I believe, on either Cinemax or I read it on VHS. Cthulhu Mansion.
Cthulhu Mansion?
Yeah, kind of H.P. Lovecraft inspired, obviously, story. There's like a guy and his henchman manservant and his daughter, actually, and he's a magician. Okay, and they get kidnapped, sort of home invaded, but kidnapped first in a parking garage and driven back to their house by some thugs who have I don't know, they just robbed a bank or did something. And one of the guys is injured, so they all go. So they make the guy take him back to his house so they can hold up there for a little while. Now, unfortunately, this magician's got his fingers up in some supernatural hoosmifudge. So they get caught up in that and everything. Hence the title Cthulhu Mansion. I have to admit, like, this is not a real great movie, but I did kind of enjoy sitting there looking at it because it's just one of those movies I'd completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, it was coming back to me. I'd only seen it once or twice when it came out on cable or VHS. And, back in the early 90s, Mr. Ben Harley, we talk about this. Not good years for horror cinema. Everybody wanted to, it was kind of like the conventions. Everybody wanted to make money, but nobody wanted to put any money in.
No.
Nobody wanted to put any money in.
What can we get out of this?
Yes.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
So they scrounge together like $50,000 to $100,000 and tell people to make a movie, and then they put up some cool box art on a VHS and make their money back. This is one of those movies. And the problem is that the people who had the money, who were making these movies, you can tell they wanted to make an entertaining, decent film.
Sure.
But they were just kind of hamstrung by money and time. Yeah, exactly. So, as far as I guess it holds up as well as it did then. Let's put it that way. Did I think it was a great movie? No.
Okay.
But I didn't think it wasn't. No, it didn't really get any worse either.
But yes, okay. Yeah.
Right. So if you enjoyed this when it came out, you want some nostalgia. DVD Bob does have this on his table. He had some gems over the weekend. I tell you. Sure did. Let's see here on Amazon Prime, Mr. Ben Harley. On Amazon Prime from 2016. Watched a movie called Land of the Little People.
Okay.
Now, it sounds funny, but this is an Israeli film.
Oh, okay.
About, I do believe it takes place near one of those, what do they call them, settlements? Some of this stuff that's kind of cantankerous between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Yeah. They're like in that area, in that region.
Okay.
I mean, really, that whole region's a little unsettled. Don't know if you've ever seen the news or not, but a little unsettled.
Has it ever been settled?
Right. So these little kids, they're like a little gang of little shits, and they're running around and good kids, but good kids, but a little stressed, They do have problems, but these are the characters you were following, I guess, in the film. And all of their parents are in the Israeli Defense Force or whatever. Yeah. And so they're all military brats, basically, in Israel. And the kids have this area they go to. They have to kind of walk out of town and then go through a fence and then go through some trees. And then they finally end up at these abandoned, I guess you'd call them abandoned little military installations, just concrete buildings, basically.
Sure. Okay.
Well, they show up one time and there's 2 Israeli soldier deserters held up in their clubhouse, basically. And violence ensues.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bet.
This is kind of a hypnotic movie. And it's just odd. I've watched a few Israeli horror films, and they're a little different. This isn't really a horror film. It's more of a psychological thriller, drama,
right. Yeah.
I guess if you will. But not too bad. It's hypnotic. It's one of these movies. It's kind of a mood movie. It's moody to begin with. It's paced, but man, there is a sense of dread and gloom in it that kind of just hovers over the whole damn thing. And it's interesting to see a movie that takes and is from Israel that is, I guess, introspective about all the military stuff going on.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's not a protest necessarily, anything like that, but it does look at it like, this is tough. This stuff is not easy, and it does psychologically affect children and stuff. And I think that's kind of what the movie's kind of getting to. It's how the adults in that world over there psychologically affect their children a little bit. Sure. So, again, it's called Land of Little People. It is Israeli, so it is subtitled and everything. But I would recommend this for if you're in the mood for something just a little different. There's some...
No pun intended.
Yeah, and it doesn't... I wouldn't say it cheats. It doesn't. Okay. It's just kind of, you're like, oh my goodness. And there's some moments in it that'll make your jaw drop a little bit. So, again, Land of Little People. Moving on, Mr. Ben Harley. Moving on. A movie I was actually talking about this weekend.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, after I watched it, I had a Vudu stream of it. I bought a Vudu. And I have to admit, after watching this, I'm so, intrigued, confused, not outraged, but sort of about this movie that I actually bought it on Blu-ray when I got back. So I have another copy of it. I had to buy it because I want to, because I know I'm going to watch this again. If nothing else, out of sheer confusion.
Okay.
From 1974, here we go. The Klansman. Yeah, The Klansman. Right? Starring Lee Marvin, Richard Burton, Cameron Mitchell. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. O.J. Simpson. And you are going to love this. A 1974 Linda Evans.
Ooh. One of my favorites of all time.
That's just favorite of men, period.
Yes. Yeah.
Directed by Terrence Young, who actually did Thunderball, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, some of those James Bond movies. It is, Lee Marvin plays a sheriff. Richard Burton is, I'm not sure what his career is or what it is, but he lives up like on a hill, and he's more liberal. Let's put it that way.
Okay, sure.
1974 liberal, which today is called a Nazi, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he's living up like outside of town or basically or whatever. And then they had the Klan. So it's sort of a fight between the African American community, the Klan, Richard Burton, who's like I said, the 1974 Nazi liberal. And then the Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin, who's the sheriff. He's just trying to keep things stitched together.
Yeah.
He's trying to keep everybody safe and alive. He doesn't care as much about people's prejudices. He cares more about keeping people alive and out of each other's hair. Right, and I think and since you kind of follow Lee Marvin through the movie, there is a sense of, I don't understand the point of this movie because it's like sweeping shit under the rug. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, are you telling me that's what we should do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, I'm not exactly a bleeding heart myself either, but I'm like, no, I don't think we ought to sweep the Klan. Not the real Klan, not those fuckers down there. No, so it's just got this bizarre like aroma to it, bizarre feel, like you don't know what the movie's trying to say. And then it jumps in with O.J. Simpson running around as a sniper picking off, Klansmen. But the optics are, there's O.J. killing white people. And through 2019 eyes, there's no irony in that.
No.
None whatsoever. It is just odd. It's odd. You don't know who the hero is. There really isn't. It's kind of hard to like anybody, because even Richard Burton's character, who is more of the, I'm not a racist kind of guy, is still not really acting correctly.
Okay.
Here's the thing about this movie. Okay, now all that being said, so there's part of the weirdness. Now here's the other part of the weirdness. This is when Richard Burton was drinking 3 bottles of vodka a day.
Golly.
And when I was watching it, I was totally shocked. I mean, watching the performance, I'm like, this guy was drinking 3 bottles of vodka a day? I had him pegged for at least 6 or 7. Watching it. Now apparently, you could tell Richard Burton's drunk as fuck in this whole movie. Yeah. They had to shoot some of the scenes of him sitting down or laying in bed because he couldn't stand anyway.
Wow.
Now Lee Marvin was known to tip a few back too. Lee Marvin was known to tip back too. So the story goes, a few years later, they bumped into each other at a party. And there was a mutual friend who was standing there, and he said, I guess I don't have to introduce you two. You already know each other. And they said, No, we don't know each other. They had completely forgotten that they had made this movie together just a few years before. And they have a lot of scenes together. They're best friends in the movie. So it'd be kind of like, I don't know, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte forgetting they did 48 Hours.
Together? Yeah. Oh, my God.
They were that drunk. Both of them.
Wow.
Were that drunk. And the cool thing is, Lee Marvin looks as sober as the day is long. You would never know Lee Marvin even took a sip. Richard Burton, on the other hand, he can't decide whether or not he's from Britain or from Alabama. I swear to God, his accent goes from country guy to British, because he is British. So I mean, it's like so he forgets to do his accents and stuff like. What a fascinating movie. Wow. And I'm sorry, and I know there's a lot of stuff around this movie. And look, here's the thing. I'm not racist, so I'm not afraid of this movie. I'm not afraid of these things. My morals aren't threatened or compromised by other people's ignorance or clumsy way of handling these things. Sure. So if you're outraged right now, sorry. Don't listen. But this movie really is fascinating.
Won't be the last time.
No, it won't be. It won't be. This movie really is fascinating. So again, I don't know if it's on. Sometimes it pops up on Prime and stuff.
Okay.
But just to see, like, I don't even know if this is one of those. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if this is a movie where we can do one of those. We've come a long way. I think that I don't know what I can say about it.
We have come a long way, but they won't let us forget.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, The Klansman, 1974, very, very strange, very, very strange film. It's got some really brutal moments in it too.
Oh yeah.
And they're tough to watch, but the performances are still zany and out of character. It just Hard to explain, Mr. Ben Harley. Something we will not review. Not review. I don't.
All right, yeah. Okay.
Last up, Mr. Ben Harley from 2000.
Late on me.
From 2000. Watched a documentary called The Disciples. Okay.
All righty.
That's from 2000, so it's a little old, about 20 years old. Okay.
Okay.
Is a Christian rock documentary.
Ah, righty. Striper in it?
Well, plus it's Canadian, which throws a whole nother wrinkle into the mix.
Yeah, you're right.
I was squirming in my chair.
Wow. Okay.
Watching this thing. Okay. It started off with Christian punk bands.
Yeah.
And they sound like
PX.
Well, they sound, well, I don't know. Look,
okay.
I know nothing about Christian music. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just start there. You can say names of, I don't know if that was the name of a band. All right. Okay. I don't like mixing in stuff with my music.
Sure.
Does it make sense? I don't like mixing in religion, politics. I like personal experience with other humans.
Yeah.
Not preachy. I don't know. Jesus, that's a definition of preachy, right? I mean, Christian rock and stuff. But it was just bizarre to see like these scream punk bands. I love the Lord.
Well, this is the thing, too. There are a couple of the bands out there that band MXPX I was mentioning. Now, I'd seen some stuff on them. They'd start out kind of like that in a Christian band, but their fans kind of really abandoned them because they started to sing about other things, too. And for me, that's where I was like, wow, that made me want to listen to them. Mm-hmm. Now, I won't go into the reasons why I listened to them. There was a very poignant part in my life, and I heard one of their songs, and it spoke to me. And that's my experience, and I'm not pushing it on anybody else.
Right.
All right. So, but I gravitated a little bit more towards that because I'm like, you know what? They sang about that stuff. You should be proud of that. They did. But if they want to sing about anything else they want, that's their God-given right. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? And I have a hard time with that too, Timo. I like some gospel and some type of, there's some music that involves the Lord and stuff, but it's for my choice, which I want to listen to. Too, you know what I mean? So I get mad with people like that because they're so preachy that they preach at you and down to you, and that's not what it's all about.
Right. Well, this kind of gets into look. It's really surprising because it feels like it's a movie that is produced by Christians or sympathetic to them, but then you're watching it and it's a little even-handed. Like for instance, there was a group there were three brothers called Third Day.
Okay.
I wrote the name down because they were a big part of this documentary. Yeah. And there were three young brothers, and they're kind of like, I don't know, like they were like a pop band, like Hanson or something like that, And so they were coming up, and yes, they were singing Christian stuff. And then they were interviewing him, the record label guy, the Christian label guy. Okay, was like interviewing him. And of course, the interview was what could be edited, like our stuff is with that. And he says, so what do you think your message is to children from the Lord? And they were just sitting there like, preach the gospel. Well, yeah. But I mean, what else? And then the kid says, what do you want us to say? Yeah. And they edit right there. So there's little tidbits in there saying, this is a business. Mm-hmm. And I think if it wasn't criticizing the message, it was criticizing the people bringing the message, that they were no better than mainstream entertainment, pop and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to drop any names here, but I have very close friends who were in the Christian rock industry, and they will tell you it is just as debaucherous, if not worse. Than regular. So that's not nice to hear. It's not good to hear stuff like that. But it just was fascinating to show these kids who looked like they were going to beat you up for your pocket change, who had their hands up at shows and they were praising and stuff. And the whole thing made me really uncomfortable. And it made me uncomfortable not because I have a problem with people of faith. I don't. Long as you don't step on me, kind of like you. Right. Yeah. And the opposite way. As long as people aren't beating you over the head. Well, for me, it's like, okay, as long as you don't bother me about it, then I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need like a little conversation. I mean, don't try to preach to me. That's it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It just made me feel uncomfortable. The whole thing did. because this is a big money making thing. And they admitted that, by the way. They admitted that. I mean, they said, look, we're in this for business and stuff. It was fascinating at the same time and kind of cringeworthy and made me squirm sometimes too.
Sure.
But to see kids playing thrash punk and singing lyrics about being saved and stuff, that was just odd to me. I couldn't see how the two are squaring up, especially since I've been told my whole life rock and roll is devil music.
Right.
So it's like that's hard to square up. And then the part that really made me squirm, I'm telling you, is the way the adults just exploited and used these kids to make money. They're using the name of Jesus and God and all that stuff just purely to make money. And they're not saying that, but I'm looking at this going, man, if you actually read your Bible and read what Jesus taught, I don't think getting super rich off of this stuff was exactly what he was talking about. You call me crazy. And I am not religious. I'm just saying, as a knowledgeable person, that doesn't seem to me the message that I learned in Catholic school growing up. Whatever. So anyway, but it is uncomfortable, very bizarre, but worth watching for all that.
Sure.
And it is old, so it's a little outdated. But again, it's called The Disciples on Amazon Prime. So very thought-provoking. Let's put it that way. And something that's very interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah. So what you got, Mr. Ben Harley? You got anything for me? I know it's been a busy week. I know it's been a busy week.
Yeah, a little bit of a busy week.
Right.
Yeah. But here, let me see what I got here, buddy boy.
Right.
I got a few things up my sleeve here.
Now,
Tim, there was another little documentary I also started, and this is called Murder Mountain.
I heard of this. Is this Netflix?
Yeah, and it's based on Humboldt County. Is that it, Timo?
That's where I was.
Yes, where a lot of the Mary Jane.
Yep, that's Willow Creek
comes from.
Yep.
Yes.
That's Humboldt County. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, this documentary talks about a certain mountain called Murder Mountain, and basically, it's kind of lawless. A lot of people they go up there and they live. There's like outlaw weed being grown because. In Humboldt County, it's where they really originally started growing. I shouldn't say originally. I don't fucking know.
It's known for its weed. It's known for people growing. It's known for hippies and growing pot.
Well, the old hippies, they dropped out, went there.
Yes.
Scored some Mexican seeds, started growing weed, and then kind of like, well, we could get some better seeds. So they went over, to, Turkey
Canada?
or somewhere. I can't. No, they went way overseas. No, they went over to where they got seeds. And I'm sorry, but they were even sowing the seeds into like clothing and stuff like that to so they could bring them back. And then they started growing the real good stuff. And this documentary kind of revolves around some of these older guys, the original hippies, and some of the people that are growing weed now and things like that. But yeah, it's really what was surprising to me is like this mountain. Let me step back to the other party in this documentary is a gentleman whose son went to Humboldt County to get into the weed game and ended up coming up missing. And a lot of people come up missing around this Murder Mountain. And really it was a trip because there's one point where they drive the police up there. The police go up there to do some stuff and all of a sudden, out of, the woods come these guys, and it's sort of like Mad Max type thing, Here they come on their four-wheelers, and the one guy was like, what's going on? The other police is like, well, this is our escort. Escort? They're escorting us? Oh, yeah. They're, and they drive them in and out, and it's really just like its own law up there.
Right.
And you see all these burnt-out cars and shit and stuff, and it's like, it's really insane. But, I have my mixed feelings about it, because I like the weed and I shouldn't say that on radio, but I did. So, and I would love to be able to grow my own type stuff, and things. But a lot of these people have gone outlaw because the government has come in, because it's legal now to sell and stuff.
Makes it harder.
But they're crushing these people because they're all the money that they have to spend this going again or to be legit or whatever.
It's hard for them because they don't want to. They don't have a license to be legal, and when the state came in and legalized it, it actually made them more illegal almost.
Yeah,
right? And sort of in a way. It means the cops can come after them now because it's like you can get your weed at the store now.
Yeah,
You know,
well, and
basically,
just all that stuff, they got, environmental stuff, all
Sure.
these things now, all these taxes and other, so it's just, they don't know how they're going to, function after that. Their profit has went way down, So anyways, but yeah, it's a very interesting, I'm a couple episodes in, and you feel real bad for the one kid's dad because they kind of know he doesn't know what happens. Well, there's people around that do, and I think what happened, he wanted to get out. He wanted to get out of his, his share, get out of the business. And I don't think they like that. So, but who knows? Who knows who they are? So,
does it feel? Here's the thing, though. Ever since that Making a Murderer, the Stephen Avery thing, I don't trust Netflix's. I don't trust Netflix's documentaries anymore. Does it feel like that one, kind of?
No, not really.
Okay,
not really.
Okay.
It's just I mean,
just curious.
They're not really. They're not. They're just what's so curious to me more than anything is that these people. It's just how. That they own that mountain, basically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have to be around there. Like I was in Humboldt. That's where we were.
Yeah.
To understand how any of what you're seeing is possible. It's the Wild West. It's
that's what I said.
Literally
it take you so long just to get there.
Yeah.
Just to get there, and as well as I do that they know when you're getting even close to that mountain.
Yeah.
So they're already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know. They know when you're miles away. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so
right. They got the high ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's just, and I can imagine, and it just blows my mind that there are places still like that. And, so yeah, insane.
Well, I mean,
it's interesting enough, though.
Right in Willow Creek, right when you go past the, steakhouse, the Bigfoot steakhouse.
Yeah.
You go up and then you take a right. You go up the mountain that's on the side of Willow Creek. And one of the first things you see is this giant, acres of a grow. It's a big grow.
Yeah.
And it's professional, man. It looks like NASA did it. Yeah. And that hasn't been there. How long has weed been legal in California now? Not that long. Colorado was first, right?
A couple of years, right?
Yeah. So that was not built. That was not built just in the last year or two. What we saw. Now I know they've had medical for a long time, so it's probably being used for that. But still, you drive by and it's like,
yeah,
you can smell it out your window when you drive by. And stuff.
Are we floating?
Cal gonna take me away. But you do. It's
scary. Like I think a lot of it too with this place is this people that have come up missing. A lot of people,
and that's what it's about, right? That's what the documentary is about.
Really, a lot about them. The people missing, the farmers, and then the outlaws.
Right.
Not much about the police. A little bit, here and there.
But ain't much out there.
It
really is like
it's one of them places where you end up there in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you go there to start working, you might see something you weren't supposed to see, or you're like, oh, I'm done, I want to move back. You're like, no, you ain't done. Right. We need you now, and then you might end up becoming you don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. So, it's so weird it's so weird how in California too, like if you're in like LA or San Francisco, like in the more popular area, the government just has their foot in your throat. Out there about doing stuff. That's not politics. That's just the way it is. It's really kind of everywhere. But then all of a sudden you get out to where that is. You're like, government? What? The only way you know that there's a government is because they have street signs and roads. They have their own
government up there, basically.
That's what I mean.
It's their own law. Yeah, exactly.
I can totally see that, man. Totally see that. So interesting.
And you go up there and start serving warrants, you might get served something yourself. You know what I mean? That's just how. And I don't blame the police. You go up there, you're gonna have to go up there full force, man.
Right.
And like they used to. They did. With the coppers, and they were telling some of these people, the one lady said, I was pregnant with one daughter when we were running from the swirl from the helicopters. They're, running from their patches,
right.
Out of there. So,
well, what's funny too?
It's crazy.
What's funny too? Something you said that really stuck out to me is when you said since they legalized it, they've been having a lot of money problems. They've been having a lot of problems, stuff like that. Isn't that the argument that against the cartels?
Yeah.
And so there's people actually arguing against that, yet these people in Humboldt County are getting hurt real bad because it's legal now. Who wants to buy something illegal? If I go buy a pack of smokes, I'm not going to buy it off Jimmy on the street corner.
Yeah, I'm going to go in. I'd rather go somewhere where it's, I'm tired of the shadiness of it, my friend.
That sounds pretty interesting, though. I think I might.
It's a decent
like
one.
that.
I think you enjoy it. I mean, it's not preachy. It's not anything. It's just really kind of showing you what's happening, and you can really make up your own idea about it,
How long is it? It's like
it's a couple episodes. I think 6 episodes, maybe.
So it's not as long as Making a Murder, but still a few episodes.
No, it's a few episodes, and I said it's breezy, and it's it keeps you interested enough. You know what I mean?
No,
like
that sounds interesting.
I watched a couple, like 2 or 3 episodes, or 2.5, and then I put it down for a little bit, but last week was busy, so I try to go back to it. So, but last but not least, though, Timo, and it's not about Murder Mountain. There might be some murder involved, but excuse me. Yes, I'm tuning into my Gotham, right? Gotham's getting pretty amped up. There's a
last
lot
season,
of stuff
right?
cooking. Yes, a lot of stuff cooking. Everybody's kind of starting to come into their own type shit.
Right. No Batman yet, though. No Batman?
No Batman. He's getting closer. He's getting much closer.
That's
Like I said, I know
over.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Last damn episode.
That's when you'll know it's over.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. But yes, this one's interesting enough. A lot of the Riddler, which I like, involved in this one. They got a little something cooking that, I'm like, wait a second. I'm not sure. I kind of called it, but there was something that was shown in the beginning of the first episode, which was like a futuristic, shot or whatever
of Gotham.
And yes, so as far as the story is going, I don't know how it's going to jive, but we'll see. But I was right about the Riddler a little bit, which was nice. I was happy about that. He's causing some not construction. I'm sorry. He's causing mucho destruction. Right now, and I like the guy's character it's playing. I mean, it's different. It's not it ain't Frank Gorshin by any means.
No,
it's okay, and I've been enjoying it enough. So
he has a town riddled with fear.
Yeah, exactly, my friend. But good stuff. I've enjoyed it. I've had a few issues with it as a whole, but other than that, I've kind of really enjoyed it. I think I'll be sad to see it go, but maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll do something with Batman. I mean, a Batman television show has been one in how many years, Timo? A long time. So yeah. Holy Toledo.
Yeah,
Timo. It's been a long time. Right. So. We'll see. Interesting stuff. But other than that, Timo, it was a long week.
Yeah,
so I really didn't get a whole heck of a lot of time.
Okay.
I know we watched a little bit of Jaws.
We did watch a little bit of Jaws.
1 and 2.
Yeah, while we were in the hotel room. Yep.
Yeah, and I must say, I do enjoy Jaws 2 more and more as I've gotten older. And the more that I see it, it's a good film. It really is. It's got some really good stuff in it. And I enjoyed watching it with you guys, even though we were just kind of chit-chatting around it. It was fun, So
right.
We had that going for us.
Yeah, good time.
That's it.
All right.
That's it, my man.
Let's get to our official little films. Let's see here. We'll go in. We've been doing chronological order. We'll do that again. We got from 1958. First up here, 1958. Yeah. We have the film She-Demons.
She-Demons, yes, sir.
Get you a storyline synopsis here. Oh, it's a little bit longer than they've been for a little while here. Let's see how this
they've been real short lately.
Yeah, usually they get a little longer. I get mad. I try to find my own. But let's see what happens here. All right, here we go. Let's see.
Yes.
A hurricane shipwrecks an expedition of American treasure hunters on an uncharted Pacific island. Searching for food, the Americans happen upon a secret Nazi base where a sadistic scientist is conducting experiments on a tribe of local jungle maidens. Horrific experiments that mutate the island beauties into hideous, savage she-creatures. Can the cold-blooded, X-crazed Nazis be stopped? I bet they can.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think they might be able to be stopped. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Damn Nazis.
This is, again, 1958, She-Demons, directed again by Richard E. Kuna, who did Giant from the Unknown that we just did last week. Again, who also graced us with Missile to the Moon, Frankenstein's Daughter. Let's see here. And now the main lass in the film, the leggy, tall blonde, was Irish McCalla, who played Sheena from 55 to 56. So I got my Sheena stuff.
She was a tall drink of water.
Yes, she was. I got that Sheena. By the way,
Yeah,
I've got that on disc. Let's see here.
You have to send that over. I think I've seen it, yeah.
The Nazi Schultz character, Igor Gene Roth, seen him before. He was a sheriff in Attack of the Giant Leeches. And once again, Mr. Brent Harley, he was in the film The Spider.
The Spider.
Let's see here. We have, and we have the Diane Nellis Dancers, who I think do double as most of the she-demons.
Yeah, it's funny that our buddy Mark Diamond, his band Moto Christ, has a video called Corvette Summer, and it's got some scenes from this movie.
Oh, nice.
Those dance scenes, yeah. It actually goes pretty well with the video. It's funny. So I was like, oh, there it is, yeah.
Right. Let's see here. The main guy, the Harold Hansen Pants, Todd Griffin, who plays Fred Macklin.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's at best a stuffed shirt, man. He sucks. He really.
Yeah, he's not.
Can we talk about his awkward body movement for a moment?
Sure.
What was he swatting around at? I mean, what was going on here? I think his armpits were chafed, and I think he might have been chafed in other areas too, because he did not. Yeah, not to mention his 56-year-old stunt double during the fights.
I wanted to mention that because that is like the worst stunt double. And I like seeing that stuff. I like to pick that stuff out. And it's the worst. The worst. Because it was funny because he gets punched at one point and he goes back and it instantly turns into a whole different guy. Like his hair color is like 3 shades lighter, man. It was like one guy's
50 pounds heavier.
Yeah, and I was thinking at one point, I was like, these stunts aren't that big of a deal. Why didn't that character just do them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was bad. I mean, it didn't get any better either with the stunt double stuff. Oh, that was funny. So, thank you, Timo, for bringing that up.
Yeah. So we got that guy. The movie it's these people, they shipwreck on an island. They kind of get their bearings and start hearing tribal drums, which in the 1950s on back is never a good thing.
No.
Then they run across the Diane Nellis Dancers. They run across them, and then Nazis on the island in '58. There was Nazis still going strong on the island. Yeah, and taking some brain juice or something, and turning women into Curse of Bigfoot monsters.
Yeah,
it's very reminiscent of Curse of Bigfoot. The makeup was it's basically oatmeal, cut out ping pong balls for eyes and a couple fangs.
Yeah, and
little eyebrows. Got some eyebrows.
They kind of looked a little bit like the Killer Shrews too. Yeah, you're right.
They did a little bit. Yeah. So basically, this is like one of those real cheap 50s movies. I think what happened was, from what I remember, they made Giant from the Unknown. And I think this was filmed, the studio wanted, whatever little studio this was, I can't remember, but they wanted that Richard Kuna guy to make a companion movie, maybe do a double feature driving or something like that. So they kind of made this, I think, the show with Giant from the Unknown. But it's definitely kind of sleazy. For 1958, some good whipping scenes.
There's a couple. I was surprised. I was like, whoa, this time really they're really getting at it. I was like, wow, I was surprised. I was really surprised. Yeah.
And so this is like one of those movies where like they have like a cave and the cave walls are made of grocery bags. Things like that. So it's one of those kinds of movies. Now I know I've seen this before. I've seen this a couple times before. I don't know if you've seen it before or not.
I've seen bits and pieces of it over the years.
All right, what did you think of She Demons?
It leaves a little to be desired, I guess. I mean, but it was funny enough for me because I'm like, right off the bat, it's just like they're on this island and the way they're going about, they don't go, what's our favorite thing, Timo, where they just go completely batshit crazy?
They go feral?
Feral. They didn't go feral at all. They just, they were mildly put out. Let's put it that way, about being shipwrecked there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just, it was a mild, inconvenience. But, I just enjoy how it really just comes unraveled, though. They hear the drums and then they go and they run into the dancers and stuff like that. And the little guy they got with him, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
Japanese guy. He reminded me of Jack Benny's buddy.
Yeah.
And
Rochester.
Rochester, yeah. A little bit. He was a little bit of a Rochester going. And he was excited when they came across the ladies, which I was too. I thought this was nice, and
what a surprise.
and then I thought, man, if the jungle just was like this, I'd probably spend more time in the jungle. You know what I mean? If it really, but but then all the fun ends when the Nazis show back up again and kidnap them, and then they take them and show them what they're doing. The one guy, and he likes Sheena or whatever a lot.
Oh yeah,
so he tries to make a run at her, which doesn't go too well. And I think that's kind of what turns his wife a little.
That's the other guy too, because they start off with the Schultz guy. The Nazi guy, he's like the kind of the heavier set, guy or whatever. His name's Igor, which I find kind of funny. Yeah. So again, that was Gene Roth. But then they kind of introduced like the main the scientist Nazi guy. I called him the Nazi smoking guy. Actually, in fairness, now look, the acting and directing is pretty piss poor compared to Giant of the Unknown, even. Even compared to that, which is the other movie. I mean, it's downright crummy. Okay, so. But the main Nazi guy, the smoking guy, he's a fairly interesting, if not like distracting actor. He's a little, and he's kind of like a Nazi version or a creepier Louis Jourdan from Swamp Thing in a way. Did you catch that?
There you go. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
a little more Nazi than Louis was on that. But yeah, he was like
he played the Nazi part good.
He did.
He
did, and he kind of reminded me
smarmy enough.
Yeah, he had a bit of a Leslie Banks thing going on from Most Dangerous Game. He almost looked like him a little bit.
Yeah,
he had
a real smarmy rat Fink look type. Rat Fink, but he just had that smarmy little. He was good. I liked him. He reminded me of a Nazi, a typical Nazi from a movie. Right? He just did,
Exactly.
A little bit like the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark Nazi. That guy.
To the guy that melts. Yeah.
Yeah. He had that going for him too. So.
Yeah. So they got Nazis going on, and you got a bit of it's kind of a little more intricate than you would suspect, but it's still like, what? Yeah, come on now.
It's easy to do these things.
First of all, how the hell do those Nazi uniforms hold up so well over 30 years? Come on. What's going on here?
That's true.
All right, I guess
a very good dry cleaner there.
Right, technically, I guess it'd be 20 years or so. But it was just very, very bizarre. The problem I have with this film is that, well, first of all, I don't have any problem with the Diane Nellis Dancers.
No, they
filled out their outfits just fine. Curvy 50s girls. You had kind of like every kind, like every style and stuff, which I love. They knew how to move.
I felt bad though. There was one girl. I was like, if she's more than 17 or 18, I'm sure she wrote that she was 22 on her thing, but I thought, oh no.
Yeah. Well, that being said, though, I think the real problem with this movie is that there's just not enough she demons.
No. They get involved, like they throw the one guy in the cage with them, and he goes not the way you would think he would want to go with a cage full of women. But
I can still think of worse ways, but it's okay.
Yes, it's true. That's true. But yeah, they are very underutilized, Tim. Yes, I'm going to have to agree with you on that because they do get loose at one point, but they still.
Whoa! This is 1958. It was a little sleazy, but they didn't get that loose. It wasn't.
No.
Come on now. No. But I will say one thing though, and it's kind of the highlight of this is really bizarre because to me, kind of the highlight of the movie, there was a couple fun little volcano effects at the end. That were fairly effective. I mean, it was like I was shocked a little bit that like some of the earth was moving around and the sets were bouncing around. I was like, oh, okay. That's convenient. There's always a volcano. When you don't know how to end a film,
especially when Nazis are involved.
Yeah, just set it on a volcano somewhere. Yeah. There's natives or any kind of dinosaur or anything around. Volcanic activity. I'll tell you what, one of the main villains in fantasy films is volcanism.
Volcanoes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, But yeah, the problems I had was that the acting was so bad, and it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny at times, but then it wasn't. The relationship between Harold Hansen Pants and his Oriental sidekick.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a sign of times, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I was corrected. I was corrected about a year ago. It's Asian. I'm sorry.
Asian.
I don't know what's offensive about it, or I have no idea. I don't know. But anyway, I apologize. Asian.
Yeah.
His Asian sidekick, which that's not as offensive to begin with. I don't know what it is.
It'll be offensive sooner or later.
Yeah. There's some awkward. Like, you guys are kind of like snuggling close to each other and stuff. I don't got a problem with it, but I don't think you're doing it on purpose. That's the awkward part. You know what I mean? But anyway, I did have fun watching She Demons, but I will say this. I didn't like it like I liked Giant from the Unknown.
Right, okay. I'll give you that.
I liked the ladies in it. That was fun to look at. But, man, they kind of drug this one out a little bit.
Yes, for sure.
You can tell it was made because of something. You can tell it was more of a thrown together type of deal. I don't know, man. I mean, there's some things too that were making me laugh really hard, like the awful inserts of the stunt guys.
That's just bad. I mean, awful.
They weren't remotely close to any of the actors in there and stuff. And it wasn't even, like you said, they even try to hide it.
No.
They didn't even put a wig on the guy or nothing.
No.
You know? It's like, what?
I don't know how you could have went back and looked at the dailies or whatever they call it and shit. And when they're like, and say, that looks great.
Right.
Go with it. Like, no, that doesn't even look, I mean, I laughed. I was like, he punched him into another fella. He punched him into, as in, created another person.
Yeah. He transformed him with his blow. Whoa!
He transformed him into a whole other person.
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
Yeah, so
it was funny though. I did get a kick out of that. It was fun. It was worth that.
It's for a B movie. Look, like Giant from the Unknown, I literally got some kind of enjoyment out of in a real world kind of way. I liked some of the story, I liked what was happening there. This movie was nothing except, I mean, Mesa of Lost Women again or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just another male fantasy where you run into some cheap Shangri-La with monster women with bikinis on.
Being whipped.
It could be worse. It could
I don't know
be
what the whipping whole thing is.
Well, I think that's just a little fetishy. Yeah, it's a little fetishy.
Well, I think you get that whole, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, but you get a little of that moaning going, and exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about. Explain.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
right.
you get a little bit of that going, and then you can just say, well, no, it's because she was being whipped.
Right. All right. So basically, I'm not going to give this any kind of great babe up because I think the Giant from the Unknown, and I'm only comparing it because they were made at the same time by the same guy. So it's a good reason to compare them. But I'm just saying I enjoyed that more for the right reasons. This one was like, there were moments that were really funny and stuff. But I'm going to give it the mildest of mild B movie.
Yeah.
Great bumps for people like that. Otherwise, this is not. Yeah. It's not a great movie. It's a good movie to have on the background.
Sure.
To look at the ladies and stuff like that. I'm sorry, ladies, but there's not really a fellow for you in this one. I don't think you're going to like Griffin. Just going to go out live there.
No. If you like stuffed shirts or,
well, even when he popped out of his shirt, I wasn't really too worried about that.
If you like starchy shirts, you might like this. Like itchy, scratchy shirts, you might like this one.
A little bit of gore too, some spear gore and things like that. So it wasn't too. So very, very mild B movie, great babe. It's like you could edit this down into like 20 minutes and have yourself just a hilarious, awesome, like fun Outer Limits Twilight Zone type thing. Otherwise it is stretched out a little bit too much. It's stretched out a little too long. So basically, but for a B movie, there's some fun stuff there too.
You do worse, right?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Tim, I'm just going to give it a real mild great babe up as well. I enjoyed some of it. The ladies, the womans, the silly Nazi stuff always makes me laugh too.
The Nazis themselves were kind of fun. They were like goofy. They were speaking of Batman TV show. They were kind of like Batman villains. Some of them, henchmen guys or whatever. Yeah,
goons. Right. Yeah, they were just not.
Right.
But the girl that played Sheena, right?
Irish McCullough.
Irish. Yeah. I liked her. She helped me out a little bit throughout the movie. So
that's nice of her.
yeah, so it was nice of her. But,
right.
Very mild grape ape up.
Okay. Let's get to our next official little film, Mr. Ben Harley, from 1983. We have the film. Now, they're not really a horror film, but it's definitely a cult film. Culty enough for us. And it opens up with some horror right away. So it's worthwhile talking about. Plus, know a little something about punk rock. This is the movie Suburbia.
Suburbia, yes, sir.
Suburbia, yeah. Let me get you a short storyline or a summary here.
Yeah.
Here we go. When household tensions and a sense of worthlessness overcome Evan, he finds escape when he clings with the orphans of a throwaway society. The runaways hold on to each other like a family until a tragedy tears them apart. It's a movie about punk rock kids.
Oh, yeah,
in
punk
LA.
rock kids who, they hold up in a abandoned, where like a suburbia would have been. Looks like the houses, people built them and then no one came.
Yeah, it was an area of LA that they bought out because they were in real life, actually, they were going to tear it down for LAX, actually. So, this is the seminal punk rock film. I told Angie, I said, kind of like what I'd say River's Edge was to metal. This movie kind of was to punk, in a way.
Sure. Yeah.
And here's a really shocker, Mr. Ben Harley. Real shocker. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
Me too.
I have never seen it, and I've heard about it since I was a kid. It was rare. It was rare when I was a kid, but it's not been rare for a long time. And I admit this is the first time I've ever seen it. Let's see. Directed by Penelope Spheris.
Yep.
Who did The Decline of Western Civilization. Yep. Both of them, actually. Yep. And actually went on to make The Little Rascals and the Beverly Hillbillies.
She did, didn't she?
Not too punk rock, Penelope. Not too punk rock. So she did have quite a commercial career after this. Yes. Which most punk rockers, they had to swallow their shit and say, okay, I want to be cool too. Not a kid anymore. I'm over 21. I can buy my own beer and drive now. I'm fine. Right. Once I can afford a house, fuck it, I ain't living like that no more. But these are basically kids that are homeless runaways and stuff, and they kind of form like a punk rock gang of friends. Yeah. In a way.
FR, what is it? The FR or something?
The TR.
Yeah,
TR. It's like a squatter house. So they have like a squatter house, and they have
totally
TR.
Ruined or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Totally rejected. That's it. Totally rejected.
Now, the first things you notice about this film is A, Roger Corman, quote, unquote, presents. So I'm assuming he distributed this film.
Sure.
And then it opens with a dog mauling a toddler.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like that.
Dog just runs up and mauls a toddler, like right in front of you. So that sets the tone for the film.
Yeah, it did, for sure. Yeah.
What'd you think, Ben Harley?
Timo, you know me, I'm a punker. I like my punk rocks. Mm-hmm. I like my punk rock music. I had a little problem with this movie. It's not that I didn't really not enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I have a problem with some of the punkers that are in this film. Mm-hmm. Now, at this point in time, Tim, I was probably 13 years old. I was really more I was into my metal too at the time, and I'd been listening to punk rock probably about, 5 or so years, maybe up to that point. And you know what I mean? And I was starting to branch out into some more different stuff besides the Ramones and the Dickies and things like that, but I always had a problem with certain punk rockers, and it showed in this movie today for me. I was just because I was one of them kids that it was I never really, for me, that shit was just such an attitude that I hated. You know what I mean? Not the punk rock attitude.
I know what you're saying.
But just being a jackass.
Right.
To be a jackass. And hey, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I wasn't the greatest kid, and I got myself into some problems, and we did some silly stuff. Mm-hmm. And I hope they're not listening, but I stole my first skateboard out of a Mountain Man ski shop and silly stuff like that. But I don't know. For some reason, I have a problem with certain sects of punk rock. And so I was a little disappointed going in because I wanted to hear some more punk rock music. I really did. I wanted this to be a little bit more punk rock driven as far as the music, not the attitude, I guess. So I guess that was a little bit hard for me going into this. But
you got live performances by the Vandals, by TSOL, who you saw.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually, probably met a guy or two from that band. So TSOL, Vandals, and who was the other group too?
Yeah, because when they got to that club, which was cool, and I was happy. DI.
Yep. So
but I was just, I don't know. I guess I was looking for a little bit more in the soundtrack that would drive the movie more.
I got you. Like Repo Man or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit, because I'm also going to go out on a limb and say the acting in this movie is awful. Awful, man. Like, awful. Now, is Flea in this movie? That was Flea, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, but it's just like, for me, it seemed like a movie made about people who like, these are my buddies, man, and these, and we're cool, and this guy's funny because of this, and I didn't find him funny or appealing or like, you know what I mean? Like, and I've known a lot of people just like some of these characters in this film, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of those type of characters aren't around anymore. It's the guys like me and stuff that, or a couple of other just very minute friends of mine that might not have been the ones that had the fucking mohawks and were doing shit, that are the guys that were still out there at these shows. And you don't see these other fucking maniacs anymore. 30 years later, you don't see them, or more than 30 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's kind of the point too. I think it's kind of sort of the point of the film.
Yes.
In a way, and you're not going to see these people grow old. Yeah. No.
And or not even just that, but they're not going to. It's about, to me, it's the stick with it stuff. They didn't stick with it. It was a reason to fucking piss your parents off. It was a reason to act like a jackass, and it was a reason to cut your hair and be a goof. And then most of these guys who did that never ever. It was a phase they went through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I have sometimes, and I didn't mean to get on my high horse about this, but I had a problem though with a lot of this. So with all that aside, watching the film, I did enjoy 50% of it. I thought was cool. I thought there was something here, but I think it was missing a lot of stuff too. And I don't know. I don't know what it was missing. But I think for me, it was the music.
Could it be this? Let me ask you a question. Could it be this? Yeah. Because I told Angio, I said, when I was watching, I said, to be fair, to be honest with you, I said, these look like my friends.
Yeah, that's exactly
when I was growing up. I said the only thing that I never saw was when the little kid in the movie, when he got his mohawk and all that stuff, and he put face paint on, like war paint. I said the only thing in this movie. Now, this is me personally. I know we might have had a different point of view. We also grew up in different areas, but
sure.
The only thing in this movie that didn't seem real or something I had seen before was the face paint on the little kid.
Yeah,
she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, if you watch a punk rock movie or something, the guy always has like leather, and it's always a mix of heavy metal and punk. Which I'm sorry, in my world, really never happened. It was two separate gangs. It was like Crips and Bloods, both wearing blue and red or something. Did not happen. Did not happen. And they always have war paint on. I never saw, in all my years of all the punk rock crap I've done in my entire life, I never saw war paint on anybody. Never.
Nope.
All the hairstyles, all the clothes you saw in this, I saw it all. I wore half of it.
Yeah.
Never saw that. Okay, the question I have for you is if you were like 50% out, maybe could it be because half your friends were also metal guys?
Maybe, but I just didn't think it was. It just didn't make. It seemed unreal to me. Like some of it, like or some of the experiences, like what they would do, going to the garage sale or like stealing stuff from the guy's house, and the guy came out and they fucking, like just stuff like that. Like I know stories of stuff like that. You know what I mean? I've been in play, and that seemed a little bit more realistic than just some of the other things in the film. It just didn't, and portraying everybody, that it wasn't a punk rocker as a fucking douchebag, you know what I mean? Which, hey, that's fine too, because a lot of people were. And they didn't, and you didn't always get treated good. You know what I mean? But I didn't give a crap, man. I just didn't, my thing is I was never out there to shock people with my views on life. No, that was it. I just didn't. I didn't care. I don't care if you care. I don't care. It's what I like and it's what I dig. And, I'm not pushing it in your face and I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? And that's what killed punk for me. Not for me, but it killed it as a viable. It's viable, But back then, when we were younger, man, there was no way. There's no way I could talk to people about this stuff, and without them thinking I was a fucking jerk or a maniac, or you're just going to destroy stuff. That's all you're about. You're a skate punk, and that's all you do. Like, no, man, it's just. And I just get upset because a lot of that stuff stems from the not punks to me, the fake punks, the people that it was a phase they went through. And I have a hard time with it, Tim. I really do. And this movie, I had a hard time with that fact, I guess, too, because I didn't like anybody in the movie. I didn't like anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I was
going to bring it up. Now, there's not a whole lot of likable, lovable characters. Now, there's some that you kind of don't want to see anything happen to and stuff. You do
exactly.
You do look. In fairness, like when the kids, unless they're trying to get food or something, the kids are. There is
pretty
a bit of there is a bit of like they're getting kind of pushed around. Look, here's the thing. Here's even TSO. I think part of this was shot at the Cuckoo's Nest in LA, which is in Orange County.
Yeah.
Okay. And because when TSO was playing, they actually had a line about the Cuckoo's Nest, playing the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, the outside of that place did not look like the Cuckoo's Nest to me, unless it was the back of it. But I do believe, like, when they were showing them outside, like on that,
the dock.
The dock. Thank you. Yes. Yes. When they were on that delivery dock, we used to hang out on docks just like that. Yeah. And there was in the back of clubs, not in the front of them. And I told Angie, I said that scene right there where they're on the back throwing bottles and stuff. Yeah. I lived that every weekend. That was me doing that.
We used to skateboard in those. We'd go back to those docks, and we would.
Well, St. Louis has cobblestone, so you can't really.
No.
You have a hard time walking, much less doing that. Yeah. But so that was very. Now, the only thing that I found very unrealistic was when they were at the club scene and the guy pulls the girl's clothes off. I've never seen nothing like that. You get your ass kicked.
And then she just stood there and kept screaming like she wouldn't just take off. Yeah.
Right.
So you're right. No, it's just that stuff in.
But if you also, if you really watched it close and watched what the bands were doing, especially TSOL and stuff, when that stuff happened, they threw their arms up and they were like, violence has just gotten it. So I think they were trying to make a comment that the bands were even saying, this isn't about that.
Yeah. No.
This isn't about like hurting someone or getting in a fight. Because every time there was a fight, or every time something bad happened, the band quit. The band would stop because they wouldn't have it. I did like that. I thought that was very cool. And I think it was a comment on the violence that crept into punk rock. But what crept into it were the, quote, normal people. What was they saying all weekend about conventions? It's the normal people that came in, that made it into tens of thousands of people and ruined it. Not because it's tens of thousands, because it's normal people coming in. They ruin everything. Yeah. Like they don't understand what it started. They don't understand punk rock. They don't understand. They just think it's cool looking. Now, these stories that you saw were actually all true stories. Penelope Spheris that took things that were going on in LA, she put it into a movie. The actors, there was only 2 professional actors in the entire film. Yeah. Those were real kids. Those were real punk rock scene kids.
That's what I figured. That's
in the film.
You could tell.
Yes. So the acting is kind of like, but I think it also adds to the kind of the grittiness and the realism, of the movie and stuff. Now, I didn't ever see a abandoned squatter house, but a lot of my friends back then lived in houses. If my parents knew I went to, they'd lose their shit. Yeah. Well, my parents are also rich and kind of snobby. Not snobby, but they don't want to see their
looking
kid.
Out for their Timo.
They don't want to see their kid with roaches dropping on his head and stuff like that. They'd rather not see that. Man. And rats and things. Yeah. So there was a lot to this that I identified with, a whole lot. I found this movie fascinating. It's not a fun movie.
No.
Dogs are eating babies and kids are getting like thrown through windshields, and it's a rough film, and it's a gritty, rough film about sort of suburbia, but more about the outlying outskirts of towns where these kids their parents didn't care about them. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, they didn't. And, back then you had younger parents probably too, and a lot of them weren't fucking old enough to take care of them, or they were old enough, but they weren't good at taking care of themselves. And then they had kids, and then it's just like them kids, like everywhere in the world, buddy. It's not just, a suburban problem or whatever, but it's like, I feel like, and want to harp on this, but we talked about a movie over the weekend while we were at the convention with Bob, a movie called Over the Edge. And I really want you to see this movie. And I feel like, and that's another problem I think I might have had with this movie too, is it feels like Penelope Spheres, whatever, saw Over the Edge and tried to make kind of a punk rock version-ish of it type thing. And it just doesn't work as well. It just doesn't. Like, I don't feel like when you see Over the Edge, you'll understand where I'm coming. You feel the anxieties and the angst of these kids, man, a little bit more, and then the pressures. And this just didn't feel like it. Just, I don't know. I didn't feel it, man, and it made me really want to go back and watch Over the Edge even more. Like, I didn't feel it, buddy. Yeah, I guess, and I wanted to. I thought, man, this is gonna be cool, man, and it's my own issues. It's my own hangups with a lot of the punk rock scene. I saw myself as some of the kids in this film, you know, and it was hard being that person trying to break into a crowd of punkers more than it was the metalheads to break
I agree
into
with you there.
punkers.
That I agree with you.
Because it was like that part with Flea, you know, they're sitting in there and Flea, they go into place and Flea's like, you know, shoots the bug off the things. And he's like, you want one next to the kid? And like, you know, just being a dick just to be a dick. You know what I mean? You know, like that stuff, there's people like that. But you know what? It is a community. Once you're in that community and stuff, you're all right. You know what I'm saying, too? A little bit more than maybe any other community. Yeah. You're punk rockers, you know. But my thing is, I don't like the fake ones. I don't want the fake punk rock people. I don't. I want the people who like it for the music and the get out and do it yourself stuff. Not the, you know what I mean? That's what it's about. So, you know.
It's almost, it just depends on, look, when I watched River's Edge, I knew kids like that, but I didn't really, I hung out with a few people like that for a little bit. So I see where people are coming from, but I did not have that experience. Yeah. I did not have the River's Edge experience. This movie is about punk rock.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's about the kids that listened to punk rock in that era. Now you listened to punk rock. I certainly wasn't living in a squatter house. I also wasn't listening to it in '83.
No,
I mean, so I'm just being honest with you.
I started '79. Yeah, that was. Like,
I mean, I'm not talking about Ramones. I'm talking about punk. I'm talking about stuff you couldn't find at the record store. If you could find the record store, I listened to it. If you couldn't, I didn't listen to it. I didn't know it
was hard to find. We always had to bootleg it, or we had tapes that would go float around that we would all give to each other, dub, find, you know, places. We had a few of the older punk guys that had that stuff, and we would get it from them.
Right.
Well, like I had John Stainbrook and those guys always had, you know.
Look, we're also not living in L.A.
Right.
It's kind of a different culture and stuff, you know, in some of these big cities. But what I did like was seeing the shows and seeing the kids, how they used to slam and not hurt each other.
Yeah.
But I also I felt like, let me wrap it. I feel like the film was a love letter to punk rock, saying that, here you go, we love punk rock, but it's pretty much over because the normal people are coming in throwing fists in the pit instead of just putting their arms up. They're throwing fists. There's a delicate difference between the way they used to do it and people throwing fists. No one got hurt in those pits.
Yeah.
You got a little bruise here or there from getting bumped into somebody, but you never got hurt or hit. It was an accident if you did. If you fell down, people picked you up. Yes. Yeah. If you fell down, I got picked up lots of times by faceless people I never saw. Yeah. You know, when I was doing that. Then I got a boot in the eye and I quit doing it.
It's not.
Somebody stage dove. I think it was a Fugazi show. Somebody stage dove and I caught him and the boot went in my eye. And I was like, fuck yeah. Boot and I went,
wow.
I got a boot in my eye. You know, that was about it. So I punked out pretty quick.
I don't
and I admit that. I've always admitted it. Yeah. But I was more of a musician. I like this stuff, but anyway, I'm going to give this. I know we're going to do something different. I'm going to give this movie a big, great bape up. Not huge to Raptor, but big. I have never seen it. I didn't think I would like it. Now, I thought I love punk and I love the whole thing about it, but I just something about this movie is like, man, I just think it's going to depress me. Well, yeah, I did a little bit, but I got to admit, I liked it like I liked River's Edge. I identified with Suburbia a lot more than I did with River's Edge, though. I'll put it to you that way. So that's it. I'm going to give it a great bape up. For that alone. By the way, I do like River's Edge a whole lot, and River's Edge is a much better movie. But as far as me enjoying it, I'm fairly. It's easier to watch River's Edge, even though it's not that easy to watch, because Suburbia's got more amateur stuff going on in it, which I think lends to the movie though, myself personally. But I'm gonna give it a great bait, Bob. What about you?
I can't poop on it, but I'm gonna give it a real mild great bait up. It's my hang-ups.
I mean, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, it's my hang-ups. I like a majority of it. I did. I just there's a lot of my own hang-ups, and it's the whole music thing. It is.
Now let me ask you this, because I've been up in your world and you've been down in mine.
Yeah.
And I really think part of this is your world feels more like River's Edge. My world feels more like Suburbia.
Yeah.
You've seen like the Foo Bar and those people and the friends I have and stuff like that. And then and then I've been up by you and stuff. I just think there's we grew up around different people that were both kind of idiots, but kind of a different stylistically.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit too. I think that part of the connect versus disconnect is it's very minor things. I'm not talking about you didn't like the music and stuff. I'm talking about the culture around you when you're listening to it and stuff. And it is a little different. And I can see that. And I can totally see it. And I get it. I saw a lot of, and some are dead, to be honest with you. I saw Friends in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
And I saw people I knew in River's Edge, but I saw Friends in this movie. And so it was a little more, maybe pulled me a little bit further through it and stuff like that. Yeah. Plus, I think I was fascinated. I was watching it for the first time and everything.
Sure, but, me too.
Again, Suburbia is on Amazon
I will watch
Prime.
again. It's one I watch again.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like the performances. I do like the live. I liked TSOL, DI, Vandals.
I was hoping for a little bit more of that. You know?
Yeah, and they were punk. I mean, they weren't doing a bunch of real hardcore stuff. They were doing. I mean, it was good stuff. I liked it, and that's kind of where I do like hardcore a lot. When I was young, I really liked it. As I grew up, I stuck way more with the punk. Yeah, like what we heard in this movie.
Yeah,
you know the Vandals, that stuff I stuck with much more. And that actually includes metal too. I kind of just went back to rock and roll a little bit more than metal. So, but that's part of growing up and becoming a fuddy-duddy and waving your cane at kids that you used to be.
Yeah, Tim. And it was funny because I was bitching about a couple things watching the show, and I thought about you and the show as I'm trying to light up a screen with my Mr. Peabody reading glasses I have to put on now so I'm thinking, here I am, you punk record, I remember, I'm back here. Thinking, you know what I mean? I'm like, who's a dope now, you dope? I thought about you too, Timo. I thought you were the guy that came out on the porch. Get off my porch, you no,
right.
Get off my porch.
It's funny when the main guy, the blonde guy, when he was going to bed and whatever that bed thing was in that squatter house. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I freaked out because right behind him was one of those Mickey Mouse nightlights.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the shit I see in movies. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's a Mickey Mouse nightlight. And you just look at me like, oh, my God. Through this movie, you saw a Mickey Mouse nightlight? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did I ever give that to you?
No.
I was going to give it to you.
No.
It's like a 50-year-old Mickey Mouse nightlight. It still lights. It still works. It's like awesome. A classic. It's worth like tons of money and stuff. I'll have to find it. I'll get it to you.
Okay, that'd be nice.
All right, so I got a great ape up, a much bigger one than you for Suburbia. Just a little disconnect, but I think we both see where we're coming from.
Sure,
and stuff like that. You got a little bit of a better great ape up for She Demons. I think you appreciated the dancers just a touch more than me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I might have been cranky, so I was like, I don't like women either anymore.
I wanted to bang on a gong.
Right. So just, and I'm kind of pooped on She Demons, but for the B movie people, there's enough there to have a little fun with. Yeah. If nothing else, just see if you can identify the stuntmen because they're easier to recognize than the actual actors. So we got that, and do not know what we're doing next week, but I will report back from the Fragile Porcelain Mice show coming up. So hopefully that all goes well. Got some good ticket sales going, Mr. Ben Harley, so it's going to be a good time. Ready for it, and it should be fun. So we will report back.
Roll the doors off the place for me, Tim.
I will. They won't be able to lock the place at night. They'll have to put up trash bags over it, just like a punk rock show.
Right, exactly.
All right, so all right. Well, till next week, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com. Your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.